Hi. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of something different. This may be the first of what may be more videos, and I'm going to create a new kind of miscellaneous playlist for it. I'm calling this is going to be just a series of talks. I'm going to call this video "The Case for Brokers." And this is going to actually be a little bit of a personal discussion with you, and it's happening just after the interaction that I had. It's so important. I've actually got a cup of coffee with me, a cup of iced coffee, because it's hot today. I'm drinking out of my vintage 1980s Batgirl glass. My girlfriend gave it to me. She knows that I am a comic book nerd. And this is just going to be a little bit more of a personal discussion because these days you actually don't need a broker or an agent to buy insurance. I've said this before. We know this. You can buy insurance online. You can buy insurance over the phone. You can buy insurance by mail. You don't need me to buy the insurance, and I know that. What you need me for is to service the insurance. And I'm going to now tell you about something personal because this just happened to me about 10 minutes ago. And now I know you can see a little bit of graying in the temples here, but I'm not actually I'm actually not of Medicare age. I'm not on Medicare. So sometimes when people look at me, they see my age, and I've been doing this actually since my late 20s. So I've been doing it for a while. I'm now in my early 40s. But people tend to ask, people ask me, well, what do you know about Medicare? What do you know about what I'm going through? You're not a retiree. You're not on Medicare. What can you possibly know? I don't need to use you. Well, okay, you're right. I don't have Medicare. I kind of wish I did. It'd make my health insurance costs a whole lot cheaper. But what I experience is I have to go through the same stuff to get a hold of government agencies or insurance companies that you would have to go through. Now in this case, it's not actually health insurance related that happened to me, but it is directly related as to kind of the experiences that you guys would kind of have if you were trying to deal with a Medicare issue yourself. This is assuming that you haven't even figured out yet if it's the insurance company that is the issue. It could actually be Medicare. So this could actually be if you needed to actually ask a question to Medicare. Here's what happened to me. I had to contact the Federal Student Aid Department. It's the fsa.ed.gov is the web address. And I don't actually understand all of what's going on there, how this happened, because this wasn't the case when I was in school. I graduated college and I graduated grad school. College is expensive. I'm not a wealthy person. I did not come from a wealthy family. Therefore, I had to get student loans like so many other people did. Well, sometime between the time I graduated, and I graduated my undergrad in 98 and my grad school in 2000, sometime between then and now, they shifted everything over to where you now go on to a student aid kind of generalized website to get anything done. And this is where it impacts me, everything that was done before the website got put onto the website. Well, I had to go on to that website to get some stuff done. I needed to get some information. I actually wanted to see about consolidating some loans. Yeah, it's not an uncommon thing to want to do, take advantage of a lower interest rate, see if you can get some better payment terms and everything. So I went on there. I couldn't get on. They said to access your student ID, they call it an FSA ID, press this button to create one. So I tried to create one. They said account has already been created. So I'm like, that's weird, I don't recall doing this. Let's go on and try to see what I did. So I have a couple other email addresses I've used in the past. None of those were my email address. So I finally decided, all right, I'm going to give them a call. Now the first thing that came up was they don't publicly give their phone number. So the first thing I had to do was go and get a find that phone number, and that was buried in the website's FAQs. They don't exactly keep that at the very top, so it's very hard to actually find the phone number. I mean, it might actually be easier if you were new and you were dealing with this, but I had actually never dealt with this centralized repository before, so this was really the first time I was going through it at all. I didn't know that my stuff had been switched to this government website. The next thing that happened was I called them up, and they told me that there was another email address in there that was created at a certain time about 1.5 years ago. Well, I had to go back and look a little bit further to see what happened. 1.5 years ago, some of my personal information was compromised through a series of incidences. It had nothing to do with me. Like so many of these compromises, it actually had to do with a third party who had my information from a different way. Nothing that I did. It wasn't anything that I could have actually prevented. It happens. This is the life we live in the second decade of the 21st century. So I'm like, okay, so what do you guys want me to do to get this fixed? So they said, we're going to send you an email. I got the email as they were talking. They needed 2 forms of ID, the case number, and everything. I put that down. My email stamps it with a time, like everybody else's. It stamps it with a time, where it goes to. I sent it through. They said, if you don't hear back within 10 business days, call us back. Okay, fine. 10 business days elapse. I call them back. Or excuse me, 10 days elapsed. I read it wrong. I called them back. They said, well, we may have it done before 10 business days, but it hasn't been 10 business days. It's just been 10 days. Now each call takes about 10 minutes because you can't just get right through. You have to go to an automated service, then put in your information, and then tell them you want to talk to a customer service representative. Now I'm building to something Medicare related here and to the purpose of this, but bear with me. So I get all that information through. I talk to them. They say, well, it's been 10 days, but it hasn't been 10 business days, so you have to wait. So I actually pulled up a calendar with the representative on the phone, and I said, can I call back after this date? Yes. So I said, okay. So I called back. The 10th business day was this past Wednesday. I'm recording this on a Friday. I actually was too busy on Thursday. I couldn't give a call, but I also hadn't received an email yet, excuse me, as I knew I would. I need the coffee, really. So after the 10th business day, which was Wednesday, I couldn't call them on Thursday. I called them today. I go through all the stuff again. I put my information into their automated system. I talk to customer service. Now, I talk to the person at customer service. The person at customer service tells me, verifies with the information that I'd already plugged into the system, asked me other questions that they asked before, and they're actually looking at it on the screen. So they're asking me those questions again. It's a pain in the butt, but they're doing it. And then they say, all right, I'm going to transfer you to someone else. So they transfer me to someone else. They ask me to read the date that I sent the email, who I sent the email to, what was on the email, even the names of the files that I sent them, or what was in those files that I sent them. So I put all that through, and they said, okay, we are going to send this through to someone to look at specifically, and if you don't hear from us in 2 business days, call us back again. Now, today is a Friday. I asked them two days. They at first said 2 days. I said, does that mean Saturday and Sunday count? And they said, no, it's going to be 2 business days. So now that means that I can't do it until Wednesday. Today is September 21st as I record this. This was started on September 5th. So I'm actually still waiting to get an answer, and I have no idea what's going to happen. Hopefully this will all be done. But here's where this comes back to you. And I promise I'm not going to make this a very long video. If this were a Medicare issue, about a little bit over 50% of all questions like this that could come up, I can either answer for you, excuse me, I can either answer for you, or I can get you to somebody who can answer a question faster than if you were to just call Medicare yourself. Now, the reason this came up in my mind is because this happens to people on Medicare. I talk to people on a almost daily basis, well, at least on a weekly basis if nothing else, where they have had this kind of a runaround calling Medicare. And don't get me wrong, Medicare does a good job. But Medicare is a very, very large government agency. Medicare has many different departments, and the first person you talk to may not be the actual person you need to talk to. The problem is, because they have so many different and varied departments, you don't know who to ask. Half the time, I would know which department you can ask, and I may even have a separate phone number for them to call. Problems come up with health insurance. You can extend this from Medicare to the insurance company. There are a couple of insurance companies that I work with, especially if we're talking Medicare supplements. I have specific phone numbers that I can call within the company. And if not, if it's Medicare supplement, I can make the call over half the time for you, because I would be your agent of record. I can make these calls and just give you the result. If I need to have you on the call, I will put you on the call at that point. But half the time, I don't need to have you on that call. If it's calling Medicare, I do. But if it's the insurance company, I don't. If it's a prescription drug plan or if it's Medicare Advantage, a lot of times I may actually need you on the call, but I can still make the call with you most of the time for Medicare Advantage, as long as you're saying you're on the call and you tell the person, yes, you give me permission to talk and be on the call with you. The insurance companies are okay with it too, because they know that I'm going to know who to call, who to talk to, and what to ask. That is the most important thing. Half the time, you don't know what to ask. Even though it seems simple, you got a bill. Is the bill from the doctor? Is the bill from the insurance company? If it's a statement saying you may owe, they're going to ask, okay, what did the doctor's office say? What did the insurance company say? Are those dates matching? What are the codes that go along with it? These are things that I can do. You don't need me to buy the insurance, but when you buy the insurance through me, you get somebody that's going to help you out with things like this when they come out. That's what I do. That is my job. If I am not out talking to new people each day, I am usually in the office dealing with my current clients who have things like this happen. Problems come up with health insurance. If you are the healthiest person in the world and you don't use health insurance much, God bless you. But when things change, when you wind up going into the hospital for an emergency room visit, when you wind up going to see the doctor on a regular basis because you have a chronic issue come up, these are times that you need an advocate on your behalf. I do my best to help you so that you don't have to deal with what I am dealing with right now with the federal student aid people. I don't know that someone like me exists for something in my situation, I've just got to deal with it. But somebody like me exists for your situation. I can help you when things go sideways, when things come up and you don't know how to deal with it, or you don't have time, or you don't have the inclination to deal with problems when they come up. I can be your first step to dealing with this. So that's pretty much all I want to say. I rambled on a little bit longer than I really wanted to. Sorry about that. I hope to make things like this a little bit quicker. But this was a little bit of a personal story, and I thought that it related well to my business, and I wanted to put another example out there. What I can do to help you, that even though you can buy insurance without me, this is the reason to buy it with me. And if you are in Ohio, West Virginia, or Kentucky or Michigan, please give us a call. I'm happy to work with you, especially as we go into this year's annual election period.